Johnny DL, and this time I'm going to be talking about eye contact. Um, Eye contact is something that has been discouraged to a massive degree in social interactions from a very young age. Um, if you zone out and let your eyes wander as a teenager or as a child, and your eyes accidentally look into somebody else's eyes, you and you're not a hugely popular kid, you will get something along the lines of "What are you looking at?" shouted at you. That's certainly my experience, and e- even if you're popular, I imagine that, um, or anybody else, I can imagine that that phrase "What are you looking at?" when you meet somebody else's eyes is gonna crop up eventually. Um, it's not something that we can necessarily control. Our eyes lock on train on things that interest us, and it's very difficult to control exactly where your eyes move. I'm trying to talk to you, and I have tried to talk to the camera quite a lot, but even now I'm talking about talking to the camera, and my eyes are flitting off to the side or over there because there's something over in that direction that has just caught my attention and may not be of any prevalent of it may not be of any significance whatsoever, but because I don't want to stare into the lens and really make people uncomfortable, and I can't talk just without can't think very well while staring at a picture of my own face. Um, I look around and I find stuff to focus my eyes on. Um, Hopefully, normally I find something close to um, the point of the camera so that my eyes don't veer off widely. But I'm sure you've found just as I have that um, I, I I can't keep massive amounts of eye contact because there's other stuff to look at. And in general, this is almost always the case. You've got um, whenever you're in a new situation, your eyes will dart about and find all the interesting bits of a scene and lock on anything that's moving to track it. And your eyes and your brain do this without your conscious knowledge all the time. Um, they will. There have been scientific studies that show that um, when men walk into rooms and there are women, they will their eyes will flit across um, certain details of females and get a more detailed vision of those things, and it makes sense. Your eyesight is actually quite a narrow thing. You um, in terms of color, you can only see sort of a whole maybe that sort of size at arm's length. So if you imagine that, that's all the colour you could see, and it's um, it, but your brain fills it all in. Whenever you're looking into a room, your brain manages to pick up all the colours in it because it flicks around and your eyes pick up focus. Um, and this makes certain things very difficult to control because your eyes flick around. You can see all sorts of different. Well, your eyes can look at all sorts of different things without you consciously meaning to, and it wants to pick up details. But most of the time, these flits across in different directions are take less time than it does to blink your eyes. And how often do you notice yourself blinking? Um, I now am concentrating on the amount that I'm blinking. Whenever you talk about it, that always happens, or at least it does to me. Um, and you don't notice yourself blinking 90% of the time, and you don't notice yourself focusing on details off in the corner of your eye, but your brain does it so that you get a complete picture. And it stitches all the bits together, and it uses the black and white version and the colour together so that it makes a map of what's in front of you. And anything that's moving or anything that's of particular interest to different drives in your body will get focused on. And that is a perfectly natural thing. Um, so, why do we have this thing about looking into people's eyes and going, "What are you looking at?" Because it's a coincidence that two people manage to lock eyes, but it happens. It happens all the fucking time. Swearing, I shouldn't swear. I've got to get out of that. That's two at least times on camera I've sworn. Not good. Um, but yeah, your eyes. Coincidences happen all the time, and your eyes locking isn't that big a coincidence. Finding out where other people are looking is something that um, is useful to the brain, because if you know where somebody else is looking, you know where their attention is, and you can follow their attention and look at the same thing. Um, where when we follow attention of other people from the word dot, we can follow eyesight just as easily as we follow pointing or waving of hands. Um, so if I want you to look over there, I indicate with my hands, or I just nod my head, or I can just point with my eyes, and you would be able to follow it. Um, and it's something that we all do. We focus our eyes and our attention on something. It makes it easier to deal with, and we focus our eyes and attention on things that scare us as well. We would look into the eyes of a predator to know whether a predator's going to attack us, or whether the predator's going to attack our mate next to us, and we've got a good chance of running away. Um, um, it's certainly possibly, maybe might be why I found that I came across this "what are you looking at" thing an awful lot. I wasn't somebody who was confident. I wasn't somebody who was um, particularly strong. I wasn't somebody who was good with conflict. I don't handle things very well. So I sought to avoid it. So one way of seeking to avoid is to make sure that I know what people who are likely to cause me conflict are focusing on. And if you look into their eyes and see they're not focusing on you, that's a good thing. If you look into their eyes and their eyes accidentally flick to yours at the same time, you're screwed. And it causes all sorts of problems later on, because these are all things that happened when I was in primary school. Americans would call it grade school, or secondary school, even college. This happened, and you go, doesn't that screw us up an awful lot for adult life, where in a relationship, or even before a relationship, eye contact is something more important than assessing anything about somebody's body. And it's just so important. Eye contact is so important, and we're training. We've self-taught ourselves out of it, and I think it's a lost art, and we need to need to focus on it and learn it a bit better. So maybe, just maybe, it's worthwhile taking some time out of your day to have a conversation with somebody and actually look them in the eye and have the conversation, especially if they're somebody who is easily objectified or somebody who people avoid doing it for one reason or another. Focus on getting some eye contact. It always makes me feel better to have eye contact, or at least face contact as far as eyes are concerned. If you can't focus on somebody's eyes, focus on their mouth because that's where they're talking from. Um, so you focus on them and what they're saying rather than focusing on their anatomy or something distracting, and just 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes is better. Just focus and focus and focus on keeping and having that better relationship with people, and teaching people that actually eye contact is a good thing. Um, so that's me on eye contact. Um, I think that has mainly been a ramble, but I'm going to put it up anyway. So yeah, uh, check out Twitter, Facebook. No, not Facebook. Ask FM, that's the one. I don't have a public Facebook yet. So Twitter, Ask FM, Outlook, um, in the links below, and Johnny DL out.